the barrel key. Two barrel keys. Three barrel keys. Mwah. Hey, y'all. So I have a customer request for some duplicate keys. This is his key, and I've got all this laid out just to talk about it again for a bit. I know I've done a couple of these bit barrel videos, before, but I'm just going to take you through another one. So common request we have is people coming in wanting a duplicate key. This is the only one he has for a nice piece of furniture, and I wanted some duplicates. So you would first begin by checking it, finding out what it fits. You know, it fits furniture, mostly in the US market. It's a furniture key, so it's going to be a bit smaller. You can use these plain nickel plated type keys, which are less expensive, or you can use the decorative keys, as we've talked about in another video. I will link it right here about identifying. It kind of teaches you about a lot of this, but I'm going to go over it again pretty quick. So our primary goal, number one, was he wanted a pretty key. So we're automatically stuck with that. Given the choice, they want that. These are considerably more expensive, but they are also, these again are a nickel key. When you cut into them, it's always going to be a nickel key. There is no chance for this to turn color or anything else. You could plate it, but it's never going to turn out to be a neat looking key. It's just always going to look like that. So then you shift over to the way more expensive keys, but in my opinion worth it. These are excellent keys that we have that are solid brass, and they've got this decorative coating. There's the smaller furniture style, which again come in different heads. Right now all I've got is the what I call the ring head. That's pretty neat key. Pow pow. Or the other ring head, which is a flat ring, same diameter. It's very narrow compared to very wide. But you could use either one of these, but we're going to go with this one, even though it does not really match because he wanted two, and I've got 3 or 4 of these, and only one of that ring. I may actually have 2 of the ring, I don't know. So, and like I said, this is the larger one. This typically fits maybe larger pieces of furniture. And I'm going to go ahead and throw some measurements at you. So we look at his, and one of the most important measurements is the size of the barrel itself. And we're going to zoom down on that, and it's 0.207. So if we compare this C30M key, it is 237. So that is a bigger diameter. If you hold it up, you can obviously see the difference in the size of the diameter of the shank there. And then we have this other one. It is 203. This one actually would have been a good choice for it. And then we have 185. So this is definitely the smallest diameter of all 3 of them. We're going to go big, medium, small. So we could have used this for this by holding it up because everything would match. However, again, this is not a very decorative key. While the head is kind of decorative, it's still not, quote, pretty. Your second most, now the diameter right here is important, and I'm going to show you this lock now because we're just going to explode it, and I'm going to show you the parts of it. So the diameter, number one, is your diameter here. And if we take this off and zoom in, well, if we get it, measure it on the right spot. This I do not do often, but flip it over, it's like 268. Anyway, that is allowing this to go through. Your second most important measurement is the hole diameter. So we're going to measure the inside of the hole, and it comes out to 132. If we go look at these, we see this biggest one is 161, but obviously it's too big. We're gonna go ahead and take this one out of the picture. We look at this one and it is, oh, let me grab that phone. Where was I? Interior, looks like I was at interior dimensions. Forgot what I was saying, but the interior on this key matches really well. And then we go to the smallest key and it is way undersized. We're going to take our target key. We've already decided this is the target key. I can't remember what the interior was, but it was 131 and 136. So this is just a bit bigger, which is good. And that is your post diameter here. If you've got too small of a post, see this is 122 post, so this little key here would probably fit on this particular lock. It's tight, and you see it doesn't go all the way down actually either. And then if we take, so this is a bigger post, you know, that wouldn't go over it, that wouldn't go over it. You'd have to jump up to the bigger size key to make it work in other locks. Now I will point out, somebody's saying, well, there's a key that looks just like this. Well, this is the national pre-cut key that we do sell. It's already ready to go, so it's very inexpensive. However, it is not brass, guys. This is not a brass. It's a cheaper metal, but it is brass colored. It's just not solid brass like these are. And if we look at it, we can see it looks good. Even the little notch almost looks good, but if we measure the blade height, this one is 475 and then this one is 416. So what's going to happen there is if you tried to use, this lock doesn't work. If you tried to use this key, this lock doesn't work either. None of these locks work. There it goes. So that key, this key is for this lock. But because this isn't long enough, what's going to happen, this is designed to reach to a certain degree and throw the bolt out. If it's not long enough, what it'll do is it will only partially throw the bolt out. And then when you go to retract the bolt, let's say it's extended, then you go to retract the bolt, but it doesn't pull it all the way back in. It leaves it sticking halfway out. So if you have a key for a piece of furniture and you turn, where'd that other lock go? There it is. If you turn the key on a piece of furniture, and I tell my antiques people this all the time, the bolt comes out all the way, turn the key the other way and unlock it and it retracts all the way, you should be good with that key. But if you undo it and it stays sticking out, that means the blade isn't long enough. It's not the right key, basically. It's not withdrawing that bolt. And what can happen is it can get caught in that middle phase, and when you go to lock or unlock it, all of a sudden it won't unlock it, and typically the cabinet is locked when that happens, and that is because you have been using an incorrect key. So if you have furniture, if you have antique furniture and you're watching this video, go open the door, throw the bolt out, make sure the bolt fully extends by tapping it to make sure it doesn't suck back in, and then retract it and make sure you hear it kind of click and it fully retracts. If not, you have a problem with your key, and I hope that you would try to get it tended to. We do take in and mail out stuff all the time, so if you need somebody to work on your lock, you can typically remove the 4 screws holding it on and mail it to us, and we can take care of most stuff with locks. But anyway, getting back to just making a copy of this key, very long-winded video. The last thing, which is not really a big deal, is the height or the width of the blade, which is this way. So we're going to look at this key, and we see that it is. let me measure it the other way so we can see what it really is, and it's 194. So this one is 315. Yeah, it needs to be trimmed down. So what I do is I'll come in, and again, this is why this is a blank key, why it's not ready to go. We're gonna have to cut this front ward as well, but typically I'll come in like this and hold the front to front and just kind of hold it like that, hold them together. And actually I'm on the wrong side because I'm gonna be using my cutting machine to do this because somebody had asked me about that. So we lay them so that they're end to end. Basically we're just getting the width of this, and this is not an ideal scratchy deal to use. Here, I'll just take this screwdriver here. Using any sharp pointed object, we're going to scribe a line on our target key. Now we want to make sure that it is further back because once you cut it, it is gone. So this is our scribed line, basically showing where we're going to cut. And before I do that, I'm going to again check it to make sure. So that height is how deep it is on basically how deep the cup of the thing is. So if this was attached to the front of this like it was supposed to be, this is basically telling us how deep the quote cup, I guess is what you would call it. So that one is really off. It could be a lot wider, but in this particular customer's lock it is very narrow, so we're gonna have to trim all that. Now by trimming it, let me go back to while I've got this sitting out here because I don't need this time. The last thing you need to check, very last, actually kind of one of the first things, is the depth of the hole, because sometimes these have a really long post that's sticking out. So I'll take a probe, anything round that'll go down in the hole, bottom it out, hold my finger on it, pull it out. We see that it's that long. Take the target key, put this in, and it stops on my thumb, but it also goes even deeper. So this hole is that deep, so we're plenty good on the depth. If we had to make this a bit bigger, this is a hand reamer that you can get at, I think I got this at Home Depot. You have to drill out the cylinder, but if you see this, I think $10 hand reamer is a pretty wonderful piece of tool when you need it. And you can start hand reaming right there to chamfer it if needed, which it's not needed on this one, but if you did need to do that, you could, of course, at angles, so you wouldn't want to do it too much, but that will give you, say that you have to drill this out, you clamp it up. If you open this up to the size that you need, take your pilot bit that's exactly the same size. Once you've made this, you're basically giving you a surface to get at least the tip of the bit in when you start drilling it, that way it doesn't walk. So this is a very useful tool for bit key making. So now I'm going to go over and I'm going to cut this on my machine because somebody asked me about it. However, you could easily use files. I mean, I can sit here and do this, and I have on videos. You can sit here and just file away. I'll file a little bit just to show you. So yeah, just file away. You could use needle files. It's going to take a little bit longer. So typically what I would do if I was hand filing this all the way, I would go ahead and, you know, use a big file on the edge. Yep, on this edge. And file it down till I got there. and then I would finish it. I would fine tune it with that. But instead, let's go over to this machine. Basically, I'm just using a rotary wheel to do the same thing. Okay, this is a old as dirt Ilco machine that actually had 2 blades for cutting bit barrel and another type of key over here. The blade was a sideways blade, and that blade used to be used for cutting that. However, and the blade was flat on the front and it had teeth on each side. So you could come in like this and go sideways with it and cut these wonderful little things. However, I've never been able to find a blade like that again, so it has long since gone and disappeared. And I use this just for the slaughter part to take it down. We have our mark here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this machine on. Let me split this up so that the high-pitched noise is not bothersome. Okay, so now that we got our initial cut started, I usually take a pair of side cutters that I've got dedicated just for that. And when you're cutting these, it cuts different from these, and we can see that is brass. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Zoom in. Just don't forget to zoom back out. Okay, hold on. That's what I call a zoom in. So I cut it away with these side cutters instead of filing, because I want to preserve as much as the finish as I can. However, because it is brass, it will darken up again after some time. A little bit of brass is going to show when you have a new key, but it's kind of, you got to cut it. There's no way around that. So I'm going to go ahead and file down the rest of the way, and we'll just, this takes about a minute to do, so let's fast forward that. Okay, actually 2 minutes to do because I kept shuffling my hands back and forth. Once I get down to the shank of the key, I'm going to switch to my smaller jeweler's file. I'm going to go ahead and knock the edge off there and there. And finish it up here, kind of smooth it out. I'm not even, well, hold on. It's way more comfortable for me to do this right here. And I want to smooth it as well as I can down onto the barrel of the key. Alright, once you can run your fingernail across it and it not catch, we are good. So we are going to zoom out and measure our, oh, I don't have my torque, my other key, my original key. Typically you can eyeball this because you can just tell, you know, the width of it. Pretty easy to determine there if you've been making keys a while, or you can, of course, mic it. We got 197 on that key, and we've got 195 on that key. So I went just a bit too much, but barely. You want to be careful because you want it to be as full size as possible. And lastly, let's go ahead and smooth that. Lastly, we got to cut that notch. And what that notch is in some locks, there is a protrusion that sticks up right here, and it's usually a half circle of metal. And that notch has to fit down over that half circle or full circle or whatever. It's called a ward of some type. And that is what that notch is for. We can see this one may have possibly had two wards, one there, one there. So if there were two pieces of metal in there, that number one is a really secure, a lot more secure lock, and number two makes it harder to cut. However, since we only have this one ward in the key, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and hold them up side by side like so. And we see this ward is about in this range right here. Not the greatest file to do this with because this one does not have an edge file. You gotta, that's why they make 10-piece files, right? So just eyeballing it here. I'm gonna kind of scrape away the finish just to make sure that we're right on it. Now again, you could clamp this up. It's kind of hard holding this key and doing this, but you very easily could just sit here and file away on it until you got down. However, again, I'm going to run over to the circular cutter to do this. How I do this is slightly sketchy. So just take that as a warning. This is not for everybody, but I clamp it in my wheel like this. I hold my key and I go in that way. Makes it fairly easy to do. Got the lovely, your iPhone is full. But anyway, here is, so I don't know what I got on that, but that is our cut. We'll zoom back over here. Obviously, my phone's trying to tell me that I'm recording too much and not uploading enough. And we're going to compare our cuts. And it looks pretty good, except this one is definitely wider. It looks deep enough. And again, I'm going to grab my side cutters to trim away the bits left behind from cutting, and take a file and finish it up. So that there we have it. Oh, if I can get that file's not going to work. There we go. So I'm lifting up on this file. I'm pushing down on the key and lifting up on the file. makes it easier because I need to move it down. You could also put the key down on a solid surface like so, and file that way, however you feel most comfortable. Yeah, switch to a more aggressive file. All right, and give it a check. Could go a little bit more. It's okay if the ward's a little bit more open. You don't want it to be not more open because then it may not line up right. But just a few minutes of filing, or not even on that part of it. And of course make sure the ward's deep enough. Looks like it is. And there we have it. So I'm gonna have to do this twice because this customer wants 2 of these keys, which is fine. But I figured I would just show you guys yet another barrel key make. There we have it. Thanks for watching, guys. If y'all have any questions or comments or need me to make you a key for a lock, then send us a message and we will help you with that. Otherwise, y'all have a great day and we will catch you next time. I'm gonna clean it up just a bit more because I'm a little OCD about stuff. There we go. Looks good. Looks good to me. So there we have it. Thanks for watching, y'all.